Hi, I'm Laura, and I'm really happy to be here to celebrate Pollinators Week with you. So, I have a typical suburban perennial garden, and I'd like to share with you some really great pollinator plants that are all in the same plant genus of Asclepias. And Asclepius was a god, and he was the son of Apollo, and he was also the god of medicine. So many of these plants over time have been used for a lot of different medical purposes, but the reason I was interested in growing these plants, which are also commonly called milkweed, is because over the past 10 years in my garden I've been having a lot of issues with deer coming to eat my perennials, along with rabbits, chipmunks, and other assorted mammals. So far, the planting of milkweed seems to have cut down on all of those visitors. So I'd like to share with you first one of the plants in this genus, which is known as butterfly weed. This is Asclepias tuberosa, and it is most commonly found in sandy areas. So if you were in the Pine Bush Preserve, or maybe driving north on the Northway where there are sandy banks, kind of around Saratoga Springs, you'll see this plant blooming. This particular one is very yellow, and so often you'll see flowers that are more of a deeper orange. This one does not have milkweed in its name because it is one of the only plants in this genus that does not have the milky sap, which gives these plants their names. However, I think because the leaves are kind of hairy, it seems as though different animals are not attracted to it. So this is, again, butterfly weed. It has a lot of the characteristics that pollinators like. So you have many flowers in a flat-topped cluster, and you've got the colors that are orange or red, which sometimes attracts certain butterflies. And also the leaves are attractive for monarchs to lay their eggs on. So you have both a nectar-producing plant and a host for the caterpillar larva. So now we're going to move down to a second milkweed species, and this one is called swamp milkweed. So this is a really great plant for wet areas in your garden. It'll tolerate clay soils, and you can see it gets quite tall. It has light pink to purple to white flowers. It does have the milky sap, so I'll kind of show how that comes out. So again, other organisms do not like to eat this, but it doesn't seem to bother caterpillars. And so I'm thinking of planting this also in some wet areas in my backyard. In the fall, many milkweeds have beautiful fruits that then produce seeds that have a lot of fluff on them. And the seed is the brown part in there. And then, of course, that fluff carries the seeds other places. So this winter, or last fall, I collected seed, kept them in the refrigerator, and then this spring planted those seeds, and so now I have young swamp milkweed, Asclepias incarnata, getting ready to be put in the garden. So the third milkweed, and by the way, we have 10 different species of milkweed in New York. They're not all easy to find in the retail stores, But here's one that is a little bit more unusual, but also likes the same conditions as butterfly weed. This is called whorled milkweed, and a whorl of leaves comes out around the main stem of the plant. This one is not blooming yet, but when it does bloom, it will have white flowers. It's very delicate, and it also produces that milky sap. And further on in the garden is our most commonly found milkweed, common milkweed, Asclepias syriaca. And of course mine is not blooming, because here we tend to get a little bit more shade. It tends to be just a little cooler than other places. But this is the milkweed that you will see along roadsides, in ditches, in waste areas, and it has purple to dark purple flowers that hang in big clusters. And so again, this is a plant that monarchs like to lay eggs on, and it's also has a really fragrant scent when it's blooming. The only drawbacks to some of the milkweed is that they have rhizomes that tend to move underground, and so especially with the common milkweed, you want to make sure that you put it in a place that you don't mind seeing it pop up. So for example, here is a small one popping up, but actually what I do with these is I just pull them out. That doesn't mean I've gotten the entire rhizome, but at least it doesn't have this photosynthesizing and adding to the nutrients in the root. So I just want to say, milkweeds are wonderful. They're great if you're having some issues with other animals eating your plants, and they are attractive to pollinators of all kinds, and we really enjoy watching all the insects come to them throughout the season.